Now it's time for us to start developing with AdvaniaGIT. And we need to create our own private repository for NAV code. Let's create a repository for NAV 2017. Each repository has a master branch. And when we create the repository, we need to initialize that master branch by creating a file. In Bitbucket, we can create README as soon as we create the repository and thereby initializing the repository. From Bitbucket, we can clone the repository directly into SourceTree. We may need to log in to the Bitbucket server from SourceTree if we haven't already done that. Make sure that the local folder you put the Git repository into is a new folder and preferably not used by the Windows Defender. To be able to use AdvaniaGIT on a repository, we need a setup file. And the new repository only includes the README file we just created. But in the demo repository, there is a setup file we can use. Every branch needs to have a unique ID. So when we use a demo setup, we need to change the ID. We can now build an NAV development environment dedicated to this branch and this repository. The AdvaniaGIT module will locate a backup file for the North America version and restore that to a local SQL server. If using an FTP server, the database backup will be downloaded and then restored. To make sure that you can use the database for your newest version installed, the database is upgraded. And also to make sure you're not using too much disk space, the database is simplified and compacted. Then we compile all the service objects and create the service. will upload our development license into the server, and our environment is ready. The module runs the development environment as an administrator, just to make sure that you won't have any issues synchronizing table changes. You should be able to start the NAV client for this new environment, and also the NAV debugger. When starting the client for the first time, we can expect some delays, because we are not choosing to pre-compile all the objects on the service tier when we are setting up a development environment. Now make sure we have the correct version stamped, and also when we set up a private repository, we would like to store all the standard NAV objects in there as well. And to get the objects into the repository, we choose to export them from NAV. As you can see, the repository folder doesn't include any objects out in the States. Your performance when exporting relies heavily on your hard drive and your CPU speed. Now we have all the standard objects, file by file, in the repository. Our setup.json says that we are saving object properties, so they are included in the files. We can now state all the changes we have done, write comments, and choose to push it automatically to our master branch. Pressing commit will do the task. We can see our commit description both in source tree, and also we can verify on Bitbucket that we have uploaded all these objects. If you look at the instance overview for NEW 2017, we can see all the instances running on this development machine. We can see that we have two master branches running. One was the one we just created, and the other, the one we created from the demo branch. Now, since we don't need the demo branch anymore, we can easily remove the environment attached to that branch and remove the branch altogether from source tree. can now start building branches on top of this repository for development.